Welcome back to another episode of the Always Compete Seahawks podcast. I am back with Sam right here today. We got a bit of a different episode now. We're going to be a little bit content deprived here because it's the off season, it's post draft, it's before training camp. So we got to get kind of creative. So today we thought we'd bring you kind of a different type of video. We're doing an all-time lineup. Now, today's episode, we're going to be doing offense. We're eventually going to get to defense, and maybe we'll do special teams also. But today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the all-time Seahawks offense. Now, this is single season, so it's not just the player. It is the season that they had, what was their best season. So there are some guys here that maybe had great seasons, but they weren't necessarily like Hall of Famers. So we're kind of got to go down our list. He's going to give his answer. I'm going to give my answer. We did a starting offense, 11 personnel. So we have a quarterback, we have a running back, maybe two. We have 3 wide receivers, we have a tight end, and we have 5 offensive linemen. You have to put the guy at the position that they played. You can't, flip them around. So I think we should just go right off the bat. So who did you have as your best single season
quarterback? Real quick, I just also want to put a couple other rules that we established. We have to pick somebody who has some kind of history with the Seahawks, obviously. Like, if there's a guy who came in for 1 year and balled out, like, you can't do that. It's not like, it doesn't feel legitimate. So I kind of did like a thing like they had to have like a couple of years minimum on the team to be in. Mm-hmm. And also, like, just growing off of what you said with the position, like, we couldn't flip like Russell Okung to right tackle. So although Russell Okung might be the second best tackle in Seahawks history, we can't flip him from left to right tackle because it's just not realistic. So sorry to cut you off, but I guess quarterback.
Yeah, go ahead. You start.
So I'm assuming that we're gonna have the same thing. I have 2020 Russell Wilson.
Absolutely. I have his stats pulled up right here: 4,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, 13 picks, 105 rating.
It's the best quarterback season in Seahawks history. He's the best quarterback in Seahawks history, and it's kind of obvious. That one just kind of fell into place perfectly. Yes. So we're just gonna kind of scrub over that one.
Yep.
Next one, we have running back. Now, who do you have at your running back position?
I'm pretty sure we have the same answer, but you're making me a little nervous there. I have 2005 Shaun Alexander, won the MVP award, had 370 rushes for 1,880 yards, 27 touchdowns, added a receiving touchdown, had 28. At that time was the record. Ironically, next year was broken by LaDainian Tomlinson, but that was considered at that time the greatest season by a running back ever. So I think it has to be number one, right? Right?
Yeah, I had Shaun Alexander. I wrote 07 because I thought it was 07, but I guess it's 05.
That's the year that they went to the Super Bowl and he won MVP and all that.
He had an insane season. I was really hoping that you would have said Marshawn. I could have been like, bro, you forgot about Shaun Alexander, and then you would have been like, oh,
come on. I'm not gonna spoil it. Okay, so now this is, I think the first two were pretty much like, if you're a Seahawks fan, you kind of know those first two.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have? I mean, we have 3 of these, so we could always just flip the order, whatever. But who do you have as your greatest receiving season in Seahawks history?
My first one, I have 1979, Steve Largent.
Ooh.
This was a guy who retired holding every major receiving record in NFL history: receptions, touchdowns, yards, before Jerry Rice came along and shattered everything. But 1985, he actually had more yards, but in 79, he played 1 less game and had 3 more touchdowns. 66 receptions, 1,237 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaged 82 receiving yards a game. Just when statistically the greatest receiver in Seahawks history. Yeah. And I couldn't not have him at number 1 just because of everything that he's done for the Seahawks, and being potentially the best player in franchise history, you kind of just have to give it to him.
Yeah. And to what you were saying, obviously Steve Largent is the greatest receiver in Seahawks history, obviously. And I don't know about you, but I did include also Steve Largent. I didn't put him 3 times. I only put him once. I put him as his 1985 season, which you mentioned. 79 catches, 1,287 yards, 6 touchdowns. So he had over 1,200 yards in that season. Dave Craig threw for 3,600. So he literally had a third of Dave Craig's yards. Absolutely unreal. I think that for the greatest receiver in Seahawks history, I think that was his greatest season personally.
Yeah, I definitely considered it, but I was like, I'd rather have more touchdowns and 70 less yards than 70 more yards and 3 less touchdowns. That's kind of how I thought about it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. What did you have for your second receiver?
I had for second receiver, I had DK Metcalf in 2020. 83 catches, 1,303 yards. That's a franchise record. Caught 10 touchdown passes. The dude was absolutely electric. He's unstoppable all year. Made great. Obviously, it's fresh in our minds. He just happened. He had some absolutely outstanding plays. I remember the play against Stephon Gilmore, who was a reigning defensive player of the year. I remember the one he had against the 49ers. I mean, just he made play after play. The game continuer against the Vikings on fourth down, and then the game winner against the Vikings. So he was just spectacular in that season. Very, very close to putting him at number one. But I had to rep the GOAT, Steve Largent. So I put DK at number two.
Mm-hmm. All right, I feel you. I had 2015 Doug Baldwin. This dude was unreal. I remember in 2015 when the Seahawks were struggling to start the year, and Russ and Doug went on this run. Doug had 103 targets, 78 receptions, all 16 games played, 1,069 yards, nice, and 14 touchdowns.
Nice.
I remember I went to a game in 2015. This dude had 3 touchdowns on the Ravens, and he was unstoppable. He actually had more yards in 2016. However, I put 2015 because 14 touchdowns is absolutely ridiculous. I think he led the league that year, and somehow he was not selected to a Pro Bowl despite catching 14 touchdowns. But it is what it is. I still had him there. Mike, what do you have for your wide receiver 3?
No, I totally agree with you. I actually was thinking about putting 2016 Doug Baldwin because he had 94 catches, 1,128 yards, 7 touchdowns, like you said, 14 the previous year. The stat that really stood out to me in 2016 was the 75.4 catch percentage. Really, really freaking good.
3 out of 4 passes he caught.
Which is insanity. It just shows the connection they had. But I do have to give him to him for 2015. I think the kind of icing on the cake, the edge that put me over there was the catch he had against the Vikings in the playoffs that year.
Yeah,
absolutely unreal. And I was like, okay, I thought about that, and I was like, okay, I had to put 2015 Doug over 2016 Doug. So
that's your third.
Yeah, I agree. 2015 Doug.
All right.
Yeah.
I did not have DK Metcalf for one reason. I felt I could not put him on the list after just playing 2 years. And I do have another player on this team who played 2 years, but it's kind of different here because the Seahawks have a ton of really good wide receivers. I love DK, and I sat on this exact chair for like 10 minutes. Like, do I do it? Do I do it? And I just couldn't bring myself to do it for some reason. I instead had 2004 Daryl Jackson. This was the year before they went to the Super Bowl. 1,200 yards, 87 receptions, all 16 games played, 7 touchdowns. I mean, this guy is kind of underrated in Seahawks lore overall. I thought about putting Bobby Ingram, but overall, I just couldn't. I couldn't bring myself to put DK on the list. He's only in his second year. I feel like it's a little early for that. I also felt that Tyler Lockett didn't have any years that were much better than Daryl Jackson to put him on the list. So DK is like a heavy honorable mention. It's not necessarily about the play. It's more about how long he's been on the team. So just letting you guys know, I like DK. I like DK a lot.
Don't listen to him. He's a DK hater. He hates it. He's actually a 49ers fan. He's a 49ers fan in disguise. He just does not like DK Metcalf.
Oh, the baby not play.
Yeah. Now, next segment, he's going to start making fun of his 10.36 track sprint. So
yeah,
that's just kind of what we get into.
He's not fast enough.
No, he's not fast enough. Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I could run 10.36. Yeah.
I could do 10.2 with my eyes closed. I could wake up, get out of bed, and run a 10.2.
I ran 10.1 backwards the other day. Like, it's not hard. Okay.
Getting to the bus this morning, I'm pretty sure I ran like an 8.1 or something like that. It was crazy.
I broke the speed. I got pulled over. I broke the speed limit running onto the bus.
Yeah. All right. So, but for tight end, this is the guy who I said played 2 years for the Seahawks. I had to put Jimmy Graham. I couldn't put anybody else on the team. I couldn't do it. But Jimmy Graham almost had 1,000 yards this year. It's kind of forgotten, and it's rightfully forgotten because he was not that great. But on this team alone. But 1,923 yards, 65 receptions, 6 touchdowns, 68% catch percentage. It's just the best tight end. It's I couldn't I thought about Zach Miller.
He just doesn't have the stats.
He
Just
doesn't
don't
have
have
the
the stats.
stats. Mike Tice was the closest one that I had, but once again, like I'm thinking, like if I want to put together a team of weapons, like if this team has to go up against like the all-time 49ers team, I need a weapon, and Jimmy Graham is the closest thing to a tight end weapon that we've ever had. So that's what I had to put. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So I think we flipped our logic. So you kind of used your logic on the wide receivers and didn't really use it so much on the tight ends. I used it more on the tight ends and not as much on the wide receivers with the whole experience thing. Um, so I got a guy, and I'll be honest, I never heard of this dude. His name's Itula Mili. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it.
huh?
In 2003, he had 46
How do you spell
catches.
his name?
Itulamili. 2000
Tula Mealy.
Tula Mili.
Okay.
He had 46
Okay.
catches, 492 yards, and 4 touchdowns in 2003. We don't exactly have a great history of tight ends. Zach Miller was my first thought. No, Jimmy Graham again went off your rule of experience. Didn't have that much experience, so I was like, oh, I can't use Jimmy Graham. Thanks for that, by the way. Will Disley, absolutely not. Jacob Hollister, no. Greg Olson, definitely not. So I was
Why not
really
Greg Olson? What about Will Disley through like what about 2019 weeks 1 through 6 Will Disley? Now that
that's
is
a
a
guy.
player right there.
That's a
That's a
that,
guy.
that's a
That's a
man right
dog.
there. That's a
But like
dog.
who did we
But
have in like 2013? Was that still Zach Miller or
yeah,
was
it was
that
Zach Miller.
post Zach Miller?
That was Zach Miller. I'm pretty sure.
Man,
I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me check.
we do
Not
not have good tight ends
we
at
no, we don't.
all. Ed
No.
Dixon, maybe? What about Ed Dixon? Does he count?
Mm, don't do much.
um, man,
This was the
this is
toughest position. I was like, I was like, oh, Zach Miller had to have like an 800-yard year or what? No, he didn't.
yeah. He had his
So
best years on the Bears, actually. So
you're thinking of a different Zach Miller. That's actually funny. Different Zach Miller.
really, totally different. That's not the
They're,
same Zach
no,
Miller.
I'm dead serious. They're two different Zach Millers. It's one of the funniest things ever in sports. They're two different
What?
Zach Millers.
I thought they
I'm
were the same person.
no, they're literally totally different. Look up Zach Miller stats, and the first two links are two different guys.
Oh my god.
It's
Wait,
so funny.
are they like spelled different or something?
No, they're exactly the same. Play tight end number 86 in the same time. It's so trippy. It is so trippy.
Whoa, you're right.
I know because I was a Seahawks and a Bears fan. It used to confuse the shit out of me. I was like, what?
I swear that I thought that. Oh my god.
Dude, no. I remember I
Whoa.
remember one year I went to Bears training camp and they talked about Zach Miller and I was like, Zach, did we get Zach Miller?
The Zach
What?
Miller, the one that got cut for
Yeah.
using steroids.
I was like, what? And then I look up and it's two different guys and I'm like, oh. And
wow, I did not know that.
yeah,
I legitimately didn't know that. I spent this whole time thinking Zach Miller was a good tight end for the Bears after
it
his time.
is so trippy. Nobody talks about it. It's so trippy. So
yeah.
trippy.
All right.
So yeah, that's the tight end situation we're going
Tight
with.
end. Left tackle. This one's easy.
Walter Jones.
Walter Jones, the best
Right.
left. In my opinion, a top 3 left tackle in NFL history. Didn't allow a sack in like a 10-year career, I think it was. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's absolute. If you're building a left tackle, you're building Walter Jones. Like that's just who you're building.
You might build Orlando Pace or Jonathan Ogden, but hey,
Hey.
Walter Jones.
Yeah, in terms of
Have you seen Jonathan Ogden? I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's facts.
He's like 6'9", but
Nice. Anyway,
yeah,
left guard.
I mean, Walter Jones is obvious.
Left guard, another freebie.
Yeah,
Steve Hutchinson. Yeah,
for sure.
Center.
This one has 2. I said Max Unger.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah. I agree too.
Now, right guard. I had to do some digging for this one. I had trouble finding a right guard. I ended up getting Kevin Mawe from now a Hall of Famer. He's a center, but he spent 2 years in the NFL at right guard for the Seahawks. His first couple of years in the NFL was a right guard for the Seahawks, and I had him there. That's what I had. He's a Hall of Famer at center. However, he played guard in his time with Seattle, so that's what I put. You might have something different.
So I had a guy that I also didn't know of, and he was a right guard, played us for a while, and he was kind of like the I don't want to say the guy on the offensive line when we went to the Super Bowl in 2005 because we all know that was right. That was
it was Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson.
But I think Chris Gray was
Yeah,
solid.
I've heard of Chris Gray. I've heard of him.
Started 121 straight games. Durable dude. Again, kind of got like put in the shadow of Walter Jones and Steve. Oh, that's a great offense. Holy crap! Look at that. That's a
And they
great
got
offensive.
Robbie Tobeck also on
That's
that
a
offensive line, who's a
Russell
pretty good
Wilson
center.
would win 17 games a year with that offensive line. That is
Yeah.
incredible. We need to lure
Actually,
Walter Jones out of
correction,
it.
he would win like 21 games a year, about 20 games a year.
20 games a year. Yeah, absolutely.
He would
Well,
for sure.
and the 4 preseason games, so like 24. I mean,
Yeah, he would go the full
right.
stretch. But
So yeah, that's why I had Chris Gray at right guard. My man. Plug him in.
And now this one is interesting. Right tackle. This is a weird one. And I didn't know who to put. So I said Jermaine. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna say Jermaine.
Oh God. I actually just threw a false start penalty. I threw a false start penalty as you said that. There was just one thrown.
This man Mike was just starting to do the motion mid sentence.
You just gave me PTSD, and I remember just it felt like every 5 plays this dude was getting a false start penalty.
Yeah, but once again, not a great history of right tackles here with the Seahawks. I couldn't put Brandon Shell. So I played the conservative move, and I took a guy who can play somewhat competent football. I said Breno Giacomini from the 2013 Super Bowl Seahawks team. And I just picked him because we won the Super Bowl with him, and he can play football at a competent level. And he won't need to play amazing football.
He is a professional football player. So
I
added
who can and has played right tackle in the past. So that's who I had. There was a couple other players who were bigger, but I didn't know about. And I didn't want to just throw a player who I didn't know about, like Mike did with that tight end. I don't know who the tight end is.
So I got another, and I just realized my offensive line is essentially just the 2005 offensive line with Max Unger. At right tackle, I got Sean Locklear.
Yeah, that was my other guy. That was my other guy.
Started again in the Super Bowl, kind of the same year logic. We don't have a good history of right tackles. I just put the guy that I researched, and I couldn't really tell you anything about him other than he's got a cool last name and he played in 2005. That's really all I could tell you. Hopefully Stone Forsythe is up here in a few years, but
Stone Forsythe is going to be the new left tackle in a decade.
Oh, my bad.
He's going to replace Walter Jones.
Well, for the sake of our list, I hope he plays right tackle so that we can bump him to right and just keep Walter.
Now Jermaine Ifedi's going to come back and he's going to make 5 All-Pro teams, 5 consecutive All-Pro teams.
Yes, actually he plays for the Bears right now, so I can't get rid of Jermaine Ifedi.
He's in your life. Wait, did he get re-signed? I didn't know if he got re-signed.
I don't know if he got re-signed. I'm pretty sure he did because we let go of Charles Leno. And
yeah, he's bad for those non-Seahawks fans out there. Jermaine Ifedi is a bad player.
He is not a good football player.
Once again, we talk about Breno Giacomini being a competent football player. Jermaine Ifedi is an incompetent football player. He's
an all-pro. He's an all-pro in comparison to like Jermaine Ifedi.
Yeah, like if you were to put them in a tackle off, Breno Giacomini would look like Lane Johnson ×2, and then
he would look like inverse Walter Jones. Just blocking the other side.
Man, Jermaine. But anyways, that's gonna wrap up our offense. We stayed.
Wait. I have one more. I have to include this. So if we ever go with like a sub for our hypothetical Seahawks team here, if we ever go with the sub package in at running back, I have to conclude with the second running back on my list, Marshawn Lynch, 2014, 280 carries, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns. And the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl should have happened. Had Charlie Whitehurst called the play, he would have had the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. So, obviously, that's how it went.
What about prime Thomas Rawls? That's what I'm just asking here.
2016 Thomas Rawls was a dog.
A legend. A total beast. I remember the Bengals game.
Detroit. Oh, yeah.
I remember the Bengals game that he started, his first ever game. This dude has like a 60-yard run where he's throwing off people. I'm like, this guy's undrafted rookie. Sign me the F up. Sign me up.
Do I hear Josh Johnson? Do I hear Josh Johnson?
Whoa.
Well, pretty sure. Check right now if we play the Bengals. Josh Johnson is about to have the game.
No, we don't play the Bengals.
Josh Johnson was about to have the game of his freaking life.
Do you play the Saints? Because then he can have Beastquake too.
Thomas Rawls had a great game against the Lions. We play the Lions this year.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. He also had a great game against Carolina once. I don't know why I remember
Yes.
that one.
Yes.
But we're stalling here. That's going to wrap it up. This episode, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Next episode, we're going to bring you the defense. This one is probably going to have a little bit more difference on it. I'd say that there's a couple positions that will be highly debated, and we'll go through that. And I think we'll also do the special teams next episode. So that's going to wrap it up. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye.
Subscribe. Peace out.